Wealth Tactic Rebels, ingenious tactics to accumulate wealth for people who see things differently.
Welcome to another discussion with Wealth Tactic Rebels, the podcast for people who think differently. So joining us today is Martin Smith of Security Mutual Life. He's vice president with them currently, and he's had a long and fruitful career. We would say successful, because Marty gets to do what he loves every day. He's very passionate. He is an advocate for what we talk about here at Wealth Tactic Rebels, about thinking differently about money and how it works, the truth of it, and how to manage it, and how to avoid losses, and everything that we hold dear. Marty, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Well, we love having you here. It's always a great discussion with you. So, and we have him to thank for being here, because myself and our co-host Brian, that we often have joining us, he's one of the reasons why we think differently in the wealth field, because of his life mission of making people think differently. Well, not so much forcing them, but he's so passionate, you almost can't not think about it. So Marty, why don't you talk with our Wealth Tactic Rebels here a little bit about where you came from professionally, how you got started, and where how you got to where you are.
I'm glad you asked that question, because the more I think about it, some people have a destiny, as Shakespeare would say.
Sure.
Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Well, in my instance, I guess you could say my insurance career began in my mother's womb, because she worked at the MetLife Insurance Company, the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company at 1 Madison Avenue, all during the time of during World War II and afterwards. And when she finally got married to my father, she was carrying me around in her womb, literally, at the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. The next memory I have, if you can believe it, when it comes to life insurance, is there was only one person who came to our house who wore a suit when I was a boy, and I mean a little boy, and that was the Metropolitan Life Insurance debit agents, who collected 35 cents from my mother, who had a policy on my father.
Wow.
So
35 cents.
35 cents. That was the old way of doing it there. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is pretty cool. And he had a calendar that he gave out, one of those life insurance promotional calendars. And sure enough, what happened for me was I answered a blind box ad in the New York Times, if people are old enough to understand that. So I had I came into New York City. I was direct mail after working in direct mail after college. And then sure enough, I needed more money. They used to have what they call blind box ads in the classified section of the New York Times. And I answered that ad. It turned out to be for the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company.
Wow.
Sure enough, I answered that, and I got the job, and I was working at Metropolitan, doing all their sales promotion for their life insurance products. And at that point in time, it's as if somehow had literally guided me, that unseen hand forcing me back into this crazy world of life insurance. And literally, I had to ask myself, when I was sitting there at my cubicle at one point in time, I said, what am I really doing with my life? And sure enough, the answer came, I tell parents that they need to take care of their children. And when I had that realization, I realized that the brochures and everything I was doing was all directed towards, adults saying you need to take care of your kids. And it really had a profound effect on me, because at that time, of course, was just when my wife and I were having a son. And then I jumped to the United States Life Insurance Company, and I was with them for a dozen years. Then I was with the First Investors Life Insurance Company, and I was with them. Then I was in personal sales, and then ultimately I came to the Security Mutual Life Insurance Company, where I've been now for the last dozen years. But during these last dozen years, or probably been the most important, because that's where I found these rebellious financial ideas and gadflies in the industry who really understand how money works. And that was Nelson Nash with the infinite banking concept, and Don Blanton with Circle of Wealth, and Len Rainier of the Wealth and Wisdom Institute. Right. And I guess it really fit my rebellious nature there, understanding how money works. And I think we just go back to that concept again. How does money work? How do you build your own personal wealth in the most efficient, powerful, what word am I looking for? Non-risky way to do it there, you know? I mean,
is that the technical term?
Non-risky? Yeah, non-risky. I guess that's what I get paid to talk about, you know? It's for me, it's the idea of eliminating risk, adding certainty and guarantees, and that's something that I am passionate about, and that's what I spend most of my time recruiting and training people to use these ideas to help parents, as I once was, help families, help business owners to use the best means possible in order to achieve their financial goals. I'm happy to put on that rebel cause, especially when it comes to money, because
So you're a true wealth tactic rebel.
Well, you know, I like the title, and now I'll probably steal that, and I'll be using that all the time. But it's
to do that.
It's something I think everybody in society needs to look at. I mean, you really do have to take the time to realize how you handle money.
Sure.
And without doing that, without spending it and thinking about it, you know, you're doing yourself and your family a disservice. You need to focus on how money works, because what society and what life demands of you is to do everything but focus on these issues there. You're always doing things for others. You need to focus on this. How can you benefit yourself, your family, so that you're doing what's right for you and understanding how things work? Again, it's reality. How does money work?
And that's a good point, too. And obviously you have a lot of background on this. Can you talk a little bit more to our Wealth Tactic Rebels about what it is that, you know, I mean, this is what you do. This is, you know, every day you're teaching people and you're teaching agents about this idea about how money works.
Right. You know, it's kind of this idea of, you know, if you have a conversation with a person, you know, Kevin, are you planning on buying or acquiring anything now or in the future?
Of course.
Of course. And what's it going to take?
A lot of money.
It's going to take money. And where's that money going to come from?
Well, I'm going to have to...
normally we work in order to do that, right? Right? You know, are you going to be, you know, do you plan on becoming something better than what you are? You might have to spend money for educational things.
Sure.
It's going to take money.
Yeah.
Where's it going to come from? Do you plan on going anywhere? Do you plan on doing anything? Do you want to start a new business? Do you want to do things like that? Yeah. What's it going to take? Well, it's going to take money.
It's going to take money.
Where's that going to come from? So the idea behind this is, what we really need to do is we need to plan how we're going to create the money that we're going to need both now and in the future. And we need to have a place that we need to store it, right? For the most part, all we're doing is creating a money storage system.
Right.
It's, you know, where is the best place to park your money? You know, I mean, some people like to invest, you know, use stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that kind of thing. You know, obviously I own things like that too. But again, from my point of view, what do I need as the basis? Where do I need to put it beforehand in order to have the money to buy even that? Right. You know, I need to accumulate. I need to accumulate dollars, both now and in the future there. And, and frankly, I like the idea of tax-free dollars more than anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I need to find the best parking place for my money. And, you know, of course, what I've discovered along the way is that the, you know, dividend-paying whole life insurance policy which is something I promote all the time, is literally the best parking place for that. And that's where I want to put all my dollars, in order to get money in there, because then I'm able to access it. The idea of using, just from a technical point of view, the idea of using the money that you have in your life insurance policy, guess what? You don't really use your money. When you take a policy loan from a permanent life insurance policy, you're using the life insurance company's money. So you're literally capitalizing your policy, understanding the concept of collateralization, because all the life insurance company is going to do is they're giving you the life insurance money. Your policy is just being used as collateral. So when you have that situation going on, that in effect allows the money that you have in your policies to compound uninterrupted. So if I can find a place where my money is able to compound uninterrupted, even while I'm purchasing cars or redoing the house or going on vacation or spending my money on something I can't afford, literally in my own monthly cash flow, but I'm able to use other people's money to do it while the entire time my money is still compounding uninterrupted. All I need to do then is just pay back to the life insurance company what the life insurance company loan is and the interest that they want me to pay. But there's how should I say this, like a multiplier effect, because at a certain point in time, the amount of money that the life insurance company is crediting in terms of dividends and interest to my policy is going to be even greater than the interest that I'm paying back to them. Yeah. So if you can grapple with that idea, if you can think of this rebel idea of like, what? How is this possible that I can be making what? You mean I can be paying a loan back and paying less interest than somebody else is paying me while I'm using their own money? It's like, how does that actually work? But it does work, because that's the technical way that the life insurance policies are engineered. It's an amazing phenomenon. But once you understand that concept, it's like, wow. The first thing I need to do is I need to capitalize the money. I need to put it in a safe, protected place where it's going to grow. Tax deferred, that I have access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that it's not going to be affected by what's taking place in the market. It's constantly going to grow. It's guaranteed to grow. And best of all, when I have this money, I'm going to be able to access it how? Tax-free.
Tax-free, yeah.
So if I'm able to access money tax-free, pay it back, and then use it over and over again, I have a lifelong cash flow, money management, savings, acquisition, protection, and wealth creation system. It's it's an amazing phenomenon. The earlier you start doing it in life, the greater it's going to be.
Right, because of the compounding.
Because
effect.
of the compounding effect. Because because it's constantly compounding.
Right. This is quite what we call a wealth tactic rebel type of tactic, right?
Right.
This is definitely a different way of thinking about money.
And that's what it really comes down to. Again, it's how you think makes all the difference in the world. That's one of Nelson Nash's favorite quotes. How you think makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And until you start thinking about money and how it's operating in your own life, you're never going to be able to, take advantage of, these types of strategies in order to build your own wealth. Because ultimately, at the core of this, we need a personal wealth building strategy.
Right.
And that's what, that's why people want to work with you. That's why you need to be a rebel. Because if you're going to work with the banks, it's going to be difficult to build your wealth. If you're always paying interest to other people, you need to figure out a way where you can become, in effect, your own banker. So that who's in control? You're going to be in control. You're going to have the opportunity to say yes or no to things based on how you use money, where you place that money, how you have access to it, and understanding, these different kinds of ideas.
Powerful tactics.
So,
if you were a true rebel, that would have been the what do you call a rocket? I would say very powerful bomb dropped right. You're the bombardier.
Hey, listen. It's funny again. Working with other financial institutions. I don't begrudge them their abilities to
Sure.
help people and the way that they do and make money. But
Right.
But guess what? I believe there's a better mousetrap. I think there's a better way to do it than what they're telling you to do.
Sure.
And that's the kinds of things that I spend a lot of time working with agents and with clients, trying to educate them that, hey, guess what? The status quo is not going to, is most likely, in most instances, it's not going to be able to provide you with what you want in your life. You need to think differently. You need to rebel against the different types of products that people want to put you in, and understand who's in control of it there.
Sure.
Again,
Yeah.
it's I like to say to my son, hey, you could put money into a 401k, but let me ask you a question. How much money are you going to have to put into that 401k for the next 30 to 35 years so that you're going to be able to have $1 million, $2 million tax-free at the end of that time? And guess what the answer is?
What's the answer?
There is no answer. I don't believe there's a calculation that you can make, or you can make a calculation, but it's going to take some crazy interest rate or rate of return in order for you to do that. So a rebellious idea would be, well, wait a second. Why don't you take advantage of your family? Understanding, using the life insurance concept, using a generational solution. What if, son, you were to buy life insurance policies on me and your mom? What if your mom and I created these life insurance policies? We'll call them the Smith Family Bank. So if the Smith Family Bank had $1 million to $2 million of death benefit on them, and you were going to be the ultimate recipient of the proceeds, the tax-free proceeds of the Smith Family Bank, then we could guarantee you right now that 30 to 35 years. Do you think I'm going to make it that long, Kevin? Do you think I'm going to make it?
You might.
I hope not.
That rebellious streak's going to kick in. You're not going to die.
Let me tell you, I hope not. But certainly within the next, who knows, within the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I know,
Sure.
I tell my son, I'm not going to be here. Your mom's not going to be here. So everything that we have is going to be going to you. So why not now use the power of the Smith Family Bank, which owns life insurance policies on its two key members, your mom and dad right now. For those policies, they will pay out ultimately to whom? To you, or to the survivor, and then to you. And that money's going to be yours. So why not invest money in that, knowing that you're going to have access to that money as you go along, instead of putting money into this 401k? Would there be a better mousetrap, a better financial product that you could use as opposed to a risky government-sponsored plan like the 401k or 403b? Along those lines, where you're putting money in, it has to be invested. Here you know what you're buying right now today.
Sure.
When you buy a life insurance policy, you know what the death benefit's going to be. You can even calculate what it's going to be in the future. You can calculate what the cash value is going to be. So the idea is the commitment of putting money into a product like this. What's going to happen is you can really see into the future, whereas you can't see that if you're buying stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Things go up and down all the time. This is going to be more of that XYZ sloping line that's just going to be heading up constantly. It's not going to change direction. Looking into the future, you have a much better idea of what that's going to be. because of guarantees, and then because of, the way that life insurance contracts work with dividends and things like that. So
that's really interesting. Another rebellious type of wealth tactic that you've come up with there.
That is. I probably could do it. I could probably say it a little better, but you're going to have to give me another shot at that at some point in the future there to tell the story as I would there. But,
Thank you for listening today, Wealth Tactic Rebels. Unfortunately, we had a microphone cut out there at the end of the interview with Marty Smith before we got to say goodbye. Apologies to you, our Wealth Tactic Rebels, for that. But I want to send a huge shout out to Marty for getting together with us and talking about, what his passion is and thinking differently like a rebel. And we're going to put Marty's contact information in our show notes if everybody wants to give him a shout out as well. You can go to wealthtacticrebels.com for that. As well as, while you're there, you can download our free guide to the 3 key areas you could be losing money unknowingly and unnecessarily. So thank you again today for joining us, Wealth Tactic Rebels, for our interview with Marty Smith, and have a fantastic day.
Want to really see things differently? Take our course, Ingenious Tactics 201, where we teach you all the wealth accumulating tactics with detailed real-life examples, screenshots, downloads, and a step-by-step guide to help you. See your progress with quizzes, a final, and a certificate of completion. For course details, visit wealthtacticrebels.com. Sign up today and start seeing things differently.
This presentation is intended as informational only. The information presented does not consider your particular financial objectives, risk tolerance, time horizon, or other unique circumstances, and does not constitute a personalized recommendation or replace the advice of a financial, tax, or legal advisor or other qualified professionals. Do your own research and do not use the information of this presentation in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional. To the best of our ability, we provide content that is accurate as of the date of release. However, we give no assurance or guarantee regarding its accuracy, timeliness, completeness, or applicability. We assume no liability for the information of this and related presentations.